Hello everybody, welcome to Poli Games. I'm your host Joseph, and today we're going to talk about how I made the switch from the PlayStation 4 to the Xbox One S for 30 days, and how my overall experience with the ecosystem and the brand was. So I have tried the Xbox One in the past, but it never really stuck to me. So I chose the Gears of War 4 launch as an opportunity to really get reacquainted with the Xbox brand and the ecosystem to really see what this console is capable of. So without further ado, we're going to get into it and we're going to break this video up into parts. We're going to talk about the aesthetics of the console, the controllers of the console, and then we're also going to talk about the UI, Xbox Live, recording on the console, media, and last but not least, the games and how they played on the console. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So let's talk about aesthetics first. Let's get the small things out of the way. When we talk about aesthetics, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because both consoles are just pieces of plastic that are running the games. You're not really looking at the console when you're playing, you are looking at the game. But it is a fair note to make that the Xbox One S has improved overall on the original Xbox One's design. It's lost a hell of a lot of weight, it's 40% smaller, it's super quiet compared to my original PlayStation 4 that sounds like it's about to take off when it's playing a game. Overall, I have to give it to the Xbox. It looks a hell of a lot nicer than the new Sony PlayStation 4 Slim that's out at the moment. It just looks a bit nicer, but overall it's a small thing in the grand scheme of things. Now comes my ugly mug so we could talk about the controller. This part of the video is super subjective because everybody places their hands differently on a controller. I always say to people when I used to work at GameStop that this is the most important thing when you're talking about a console. The console might look nice, but if the controller isn't comfortable to you, you're not going to enjoy your time with that console. Some people play like this, some people play like this. I tend to play my video games like this. So people have different ways of using the controller. Personally, I love the feel of this controller. It feels so comfortable in the hand, and definitely where the analog sticks are placed on the controller is another big plus. It just feels natural to me. The analog sticks feel a lot better, feel a lot more premium to that of the DualShock controller's analog sticks that I'm not a fan of because they seem to deteriorate a little bit too fast for my liking. The only things, the little small things I have a problem with are the triggers. They feel nice, yes, but they're a little bit too high up for me. I accidentally tend to zoom in and shoot when I don't mean to on this controller just because the triggers seem a little bit too high for me. That, and you see on the back I don't have batteries in here because this thing runs on AA batteries. The one thing I don't like is that we're in 2016. Could you just please give me a lithium battery in here so I could just recharge it? Microsoft makes you pay an extra $20-25 for rechargeable batteries for their console, and that's something I don't really like. With that said, also, the one thing I really love about the DualShock controller is this button right here. The share button is a button I use the most on my DualShock 4. It's an amazing feature, and yes, there's a gimmick where you press the square button, or the X button twice, but it doesn't do it as well as the share button does on the DualShock 4. Super subjective, I know, but the one thing I do want to also mention the Elite controller. I picked this up because I wanted to get better at that Gears of War, and this Elite controller, though it's $150, is so worth the money because this controller is by far my favorite controller I own, and there's a video down below as to why. So without further ado, yes, I do prefer my DualShock 4 just a little bit over my Xbox One controller, but it's not by leaps and bounds. Now let's talk about the UI, the user interface. This has to be Microsoft's biggest improvement of the console overall. The UI has gotten so better than what it was at launch. When the Xbox One originally launched, the UI was ugly, it was cluttered, it was slow compared to the nimble and fast PlayStation 4 at the time. Microsoft really nailed home this issue rather well. With the new modern design of the Xbox One S's user interface, it's a hell of a lot easier to navigate. There's not a lot of clutter on the system anymore. It's a hell of a lot faster, if not as fast as the PlayStation 4's UI. And the snap feature, which makes things like streaming a hell of a lot easier by being able to tack on the Twitch chat to the side of your screen, is something really cool that you're able to do on the Xbox One S. Overall, though, I still prefer my PlayStation 4's UI over the Xbox One S's, but I have to make note of how great of a job Microsoft has done fixing the UI problem that they had in the beginning. So, the online service, Xbox Live, for $60 a year, to me, you get the best online service hands down. This is where PSN to me doesn't even hold a candle to how good and stable and reliable Xbox Live really is. Though PSN has gotten better by leaps and bounds over the years, it still does not hold a candle to what the Xbox Live experience offers. There was not a moment during my 30-day playtime that I experienced any crashes, any downtime, any stability issues. The fact that I can change my name on Xbox Live, yes, I do have to pay for it, but just for that being an option on Xbox Live where there's no option on the PSN to change your name, those are big things for me because I change over time as a person, and sometimes, I don't want Kush Killer 420 as my name when I'm 30 years old. Options by just changing your name, stability, all that jazz, that's what makes the Xbox Live service to me outweigh the PSN. So now we get to the media and recording side of the Xbox One S. And this is where I also have to give it up to Microsoft. Though you get to stream, Netflix, Hulu, and YouTube on your PlayStation 4 as well as your Xbox One S, the Xbox One S actually does something that the PlayStation 4 cannot do, which is stream Netflix in 4K. So if you have a 4K TV, this benefits you greatly. You could watch things like Stranger Things in 4K, get that great visuals that you paid for with your TV. Not to mention also if supports physical 4K Blu-ray support. So if you have 4K Blu-rays at home and a 4K TV, again, you get to utilize what that TV is really capable of. So those are two pluses that I have to give to Microsoft on. And when it comes to recording, it's just a personal preference to me that I prefer the Xbox One S because it knows when I'm doing game capture and it turns off things like Netflix and YouTube to me so I don't pirate those TV shows or any content on YouTube, it's just great that the system just knows when I'm doing game capture. When it comes to the PlayStation 4, I have to go through the settings and turn off the HTCP so that I could start recording and then turn it back on manually to get Netflix and all that stuff running. It's a little annoying to me. It's a little bit of a hassle to me. It's just something of over time I've just preferred recording on an Xbox One S. Let's finally talk about the games. How do games play on the Xbox One S? When we talk about multi-platform games, usually they tend to run better on the PlayStation 4 when it comes to resolution and frame rate wise. They tend to run better on the PlayStation 4. Now, with that said, I played Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2, and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and here's what I got on those games. So on Battlefield 1, the resolution on the Xbox One is 900p, and when things get hairy, it could drop all the way down to 720p. On the PlayStation 4, it starts off at 1080p and falls to 900p when things start getting strenuous on the system. So right off the bat, you see with games like Battlefield 1, yes, they're going to look a little bit better, sometimes a lot better on the PlayStation 4 instead of the Xbox One. On Titanfall, the Xbox One will play at 720p resolution because they're at 60 frames per second. So right off the bat, that is not a great place of where you want to start when it comes to resolution wise on the next gen console. On the PlayStation 4, however, it plays at 900p, again playing a lot better on the PlayStation 4 than it does on the Xbox One. When it comes to Call of Duty, I haven't gotten a clear answer because there's a lot of bugs when it comes to the frame rate issues of that game on the Xbox One at the moment. So if you can find a website that you can rely on, please put it down on the comment section down below and seeing where you saw the resolution and the frame rate at. With all that out of the way, let's get to my final thoughts on this system. So before we go, I do want to mention that there are definitely upsides to gaming on an Xbox One S. Sure, games might look a little bit better on the PlayStation 4, but the Xbox One S does some pretty crazy stuff like mod support. You can have mods on Fallout 4 or Skyrim up to 5 gigs. You are able to do some type of mods on the PlayStation 4, but only up to 1 gig. And very selective mods as well. And we had to really twist Sony's arm to get that on their system, as where Microsoft's a whole lot more welcoming to the idea of allowing mod mod support on their console. It also, when it comes to things like PC and console gaming, kind of breaking the barrier of those two, letting those two platforms play with each other, Microsoft's very much on the forefront. You see that with games like, Rocket League and Gears of War 4. The only game that I can think of that is cross-platform on the PlayStation is Final Fantasy. And we're seeing that more and more with more titles becoming, multi-platform when it comes to PC and Xbox One. A lot of people see Microsoft saying, oh, well, all their exclusives are on PC. That's stupid. I feel like that's a great idea because you're allowing more people to come in and you're breaking down that barrier of what is a console game anymore, right? You get to have an experience with people that have a PC or an Xbox One. That's what makes Gears of War so great. I was able to play with some of my friends that I haven't gotten to see in so long, where they played on a PC and I got to play on an Xbox One, and we were both having a great time together. And that's what gaming's all about. It's not about what console you own or what console is better. It's that you game and you have fun and you get lost in these worlds. You can kind of see yourself in the characters while at the same time having fun. So yes, you know what, the Xbox One has some strengths, it definitely has some weaknesses. I see it as if you have a 4K TV and you don't really feel like waiting for the Scorpio, or you're not interested in the PlayStation 4 exclusives, then yes, this is going to be a great multimedia device for you, for your 4K movies, for your 4K streaming. If you just care about games and you like the PlayStation exclusives more, if you like your Bloodborne, your Uncharted, etc., then you're gonna be more prone to be buying a PlayStation 4 and maybe not switching to the Xbox One S ecosystem. But with that said, I didn't regret a single thing. I loved my experience with the Xbox One S. I'm going to continue my experience with the Xbox One S. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I regret nothing. No regrets. All my purchases, I will be keeping them on my Xbox One. I will be buying Titanfall 2 also on the PlayStation 4 just because I love that game so much and I want to play it with all my friends on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 because I'm sad and alone. But with all that said, yes, I enjoyed the Xbox One a lot. I try not to be so focused on sides. I don't try to take sides. I feel like they're stupid. Companies make mistakes. Companies do awesome things all the time. And why seclude yourself to one system when there's so many great games to play on all platforms? Whether you play on PC, Xbox One, PS4, as long as you game, that's the thing that's important to me. So if you like this video, you want to see more, please click subscribe, like, share this video with your friends. I do news type videos, impressions, unboxings, and lists every single week for your enjoyment. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video and have a great day.